say, just have the patience.
Be like that.
He didn't have the patience.
I heard Johnson didn't have the patience.
Very
though. Yeah.
patient. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard Johnson being quite patient, actually.
He was.
Exactly. I mean, other times you guys kick out people immediately. Like, this guy had a lot of time.
Well, no. The other thing though, we were all talking. Like, he didn't like when I was talking. Andrew was talking. Issa was talking. Like, we're all attacking. We started saying you guys, and tried to like talk him off that ledge so we could actually talk to him before we start already.
Because he went like crazy.
It's a tough.
You're robbing against.
This is a tough room to hang in, you know? It's,
you have like a minute of like direct confrontation, and if you react emotionally or you don't address any points or you get, flustered, it's just done. There's your minute.
Yeah. One also room is sorting you in like retard we can have fun with, or midwit we don't want to hear from, or highly intelligent person we disagree with where we can have an actual debate. You're being sorted in the first minute, and we don't find a lot of highly usually if you're highly intelligent, the room will let you speak about anything for as long as you want, pretty much.
Yep.
Like, with people will speak back to you, but like, you get like a pass if you're intelligent. You could come in here saying the worst thing in the world, and if you're intelligent, like, everyone will listen and hear you out. But if you're a midwit, we have no time for that. And if you're a retard, you kind of got to you have to be entertaining.
I was
to be
just
fun.
about to say, I think there's like a fourth category where in that sorting session where it's like you're giving a cat its ability to play with this food, and I feel like a handler sometimes for that.
Yep. Bro, Keto found its way into my office. Because fucking mosquitoes now, because they've been cloud seeding, trying to reverse desertification. Fucking annoying. And anyway, so now we have goddamn mosquitoes in the desert. Huh?
How's your pool? Do they hang out by your pool?
No, because the pool is like saltwater.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's good because that sounds annoying. Like, the best part about Vegas is like the pool.
Yeah,
you can't enjoy that because of mosquitoes.
It's by the way, these little fuckers are going to be all over America soon. This is like a West Coast phenomenon right now, but trust me, in 5 years, these will be everywhere. They're these tiny Asian mosquitoes that you can't fucking see. They're so annoying. You can't see them.
Are you talking about jiggers?
No, mosquitoes.
And they bite and it like burns you?
Dude, okay, so no, they're these little tiny Asian mosquitoes. I forget what they're called, but they're so small, and they hang around your ankles. They're like ankle biters. They will bite your fucking ankles like 5 times in a row. Okay, instead of just like getting 2 big bites or 1 big bite. And you can't see these little assholes, and they can, because they're from Asia, they can live in the heat. So we have them in the desert now. And if they're here, they're going to be everywhere.
What's the feeling? Like, is it feeling like you're on fire when they bite you?
No, it's just like a regular mosquito bite. It's just itchy and annoying.
I'm pretty sure that happened to me in SoCal. That when I went back over the summer.
Yeah, I was at a party in Santa Monica. I got eaten alive by these fucking things.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so I always like wearing long socks and like pants or shorts or whatever. But for me, I noticed a bunch. Like, I got like 3 on my ring finger knuckle.
Bro,
like,
never in my life have I gotten mosquito bites in Southern California ever. And then like since 2020, I've been like at parties and things, like in backyards, and like I've gotten fucking mosquito bites in Southern California.
Same.
Fucking annoying.
I would get them, but it's only if you're going on like a bike ride to the beach or something in the flood channels, like stuff like that.
Yeah, or like certain places they were, but like it was very rare.
Yeah, they weren't in the burbs, dude. They weren't in people's backyards.
Dude, it's really harshing the buzz out here, because that was like the best thing about Las Vegas was it didn't have mosquitoes, and now it has mosquitoes and it's 110 degrees. Like, fuck this place. Yeah.
Well, the pool is like the escape from that. So if you have to like watch out for mosquitoes while enjoying the pool, that's a headache.
Mm-hmm. No, you don't have to watch out for them while you're in the pool or whatever. But yeah, they'll get you. These tiny fuckers are, dude. Although I have this new thing. It's called a. Hold on, what's
You
it
have
called?
the laser zapper.
It's called a bear burrower, whatever the fuck. Anyway, it's a thing that
What?
I don't know. It's a thing that heats up and you put it on the mosquito bite right after you get it, and it burns like a motherfucker, but it doesn't itch. So right after you get bitten, you just fucking hit it with this heat gun thing, and then no itching, so it's nice. But now I have to zap myself all the time.
How you're a gangster. You're cauterizing mosquito bite.
Yeah, he cauterized himself.
It basically is like cauterizing a mosquito bite. Yeah. It's the same thing as the hot spoon trick, but it's a little electrical device now that like makes it easy.
That's wild though. Like such precision.
It's good. Yeah, the Germans invented it, so that's how you know.
What if you don't? I mean, if you miss the mosquito bite and you point somewhere else, does it burn as well?
Yeah, it burns. It burns anywhere. It's heating up your skin. It burns everywhere. But, yeah, man, I just killed one of these fuckers, and it was full of my own blood. And I was like, you piece of shit.
You're so funny, bro.
Those are the females,
that
right?
get to you over the scorpions.
Dude, the mosquitoes. I've killed like 100 scorpions since we lived in this house. It doesn't bother me at all. The girls always freak out when they see the scorpions, though. but like the scorpions don't bother me because I just kill them real quick, and then I have a whole system for how I kill the scorpions. I take a metal. This is what I do. I put a cup on them, or whoever finds them in the house puts a cup on them, and then they call me. And then I come in and I take a metal spatula and I slide it under the cup lid. And so I trap the scorpion between the spatula and the cup. Then I flip the whole thing upside down. Now the scorpion's in the cup. Then I reverse and take the other side of the metal handle spatula and I smush the scorpion's fucking brain. And then I enter the whole thing in the fucking toilet.
How big
but
are they?
I become very efficient at that. They're like 3 inches usually.
Oh my god, Jesus. Ugh.
Yeah. We have a lot of them.
But that's what I mean. Dude, like the scorpions don't phase you at all, but the mosquitoes, that's like super unique.
The scorpions creeped me out for a while until I've killed so many of them now.
Yeah, that fear.
I've killed hundreds of scorpions. I don't give a fuck.
What about cockroaches? Do you have cockroaches because of the heat?
We do, but there's not that many. We have everything. I mean, we have rats, we have cockroaches. Me and my wife went on a fucking hike this morning. That's like it's like a trail by a small creek in the mountains that has like snow runoff or whatever. And because of that small creek, there's like actual forestation and stuff. There's like pine trees and like a meadow and a creek and all this stuff. And we were just like walking through there, and we got on the wrong path or whatever. And there were all these fucking huge bees and shit. And I was like, fuck, there's like so many of them. And they were just buzzing right by my head. And I was like, ah, fuck, we're already on the trail. So we just kept walking or whatever.
Like bumblebees or like Asian, like.
No, it was like those. It was like those big. They looked like somewhere. They weren't black bumblebees, although those fuckers were out there too. They were just like big ass bees. Like I don't know if they were Africanized bees or what, but they were huge.
That sucks.
Anyway,
I fucking hate wasps and hornets too.
My point is the desert actually has a lot more wildlife than you would think. Too much. What's going on in here and in Phoenix is that they're trying to, reverse the desertification of this area because people live here now and people like trees. And so there's a lot of and also the more trees you have around, it makes everything cooler. It reduces the heat. But yeah, now they're cloud seeding and it's bringing mosquitoes and it's pissing me the fuck off.
Do you guys get dust storms or anything? No, right?
Yeah, I mean, so the way it works out here is we used to get a lot more when the city was under construction. I mean, the city is still under construction, but they built out most of the city over the last 20 years while I've been living here. And the construction kicks up a lot of dirt. But now it's mandated that they have to spray water down when they're doing shit. So while they're moving dirt around, they spray water on everything to make it so that like the dirt doesn't kick up and go airborne. And so that's made it a lot better. But yeah, occasionally we'll get like dust storms.
But is
Nothing like
Nevada
Arizona,
like
though,
is Nevada
Arizona gets real bad. Between the stretch between Tucson and Phoenix was, dude, one time I was driving from Phoenix to Tucson with some friends to go party down at U of A. And there's like this long highway. It's like 4 hours of just straight road. And we got caught in the craziest fucking dust storm. And like we were going through it at like 5 miles an hour and we couldn't see shit, right? We couldn't see anything. And then we like in the dust, we're on the highway. We're going 5 miles an hour on the highway, right? In the dust, we see over to our left a semi truck is fucking flipped over on its side in the median, you know.
Sorry for the ignorant question, but is this like a sandy desert, like I don't know, like with dunes and stuff, or more like a dry, rocky desert?
There are some dunes, but it's more like a dry, rocky desert. You have to travel up north to get to the dunes. Yeah. We have the salt flat. We have some flats out here. And then some dunes, but most of it is like kind of like rocky. The Mojave Desert is very like rocky and I don't know how to describe it, shrubby, like rocky and shrubby.
Yeah, the Southwest has like a certain type of desert with like the cactuses and everything.
We're not like Saudi Arabia, yeah, which is just like sand.
Sahara or something like that. Just
it's more like
a
Sonora.
very big beach.
But Otto, I asked you about the dust question because I think the Chinese are doing reforestation to prevent some of their deserts, like killing crops because of the dust, and that's why they're cloud seeding and doing like certain systemic like tree planting and stuff like that. So I wonder if like there's like some agenda to do that, you know, make, like you said, Nevada and Arizona and all these places more green.
I think it's more because there's a lot of land here and the federal government owns most of it, right? So like it's in the federal government's interest to do that kind of shit.
Okay, there we go. Don, you have a bit of poetry to read to us today.
Yeah, I got a question though for serendipity first. What does serendipitous mean, and what does serenity mean?
You want the definition of serendipitous and the definition of serenity. Serendipitous would be happenstance, chance, happy coincidence. Serenity, I'm going to say, would be peace and calming. Serene, even. How's that?
Yeah, I was thinking that they probably have like the same base root, you know, in the front of the word serenity and serendipitous, so they must have similar meanings or similar, you know, background.
What poem are you going to read to us today?
Okay, I'll give you a couple options. You can listen to Bible flashcards. You can listen to the Jewish Tanya. You can listen to the Sufi Rumi. Or you can listen to Letters and Sentences and Maxims of Lord Chesterfield.
How about the Jewish one?
I wanted Lord Chesterfield. Okay.
Okay, Lord Chesterfield's where Monica can with.
Oh no, we're gonna do the Jewish one, and then we'll do Lord Chesterfield for Monica if she wants it. Okay, pick a number 1 through 50.
50.
Okay, this is number 50. It's called Run and return. So this is a meditation. Take the deepest breath of the day. Hold it for 10 seconds. This is called run and return. All the levels of love spoken of so far are called holy silver. As in the words, you greatly yearned for your father's house. But there is another level of love that exceeds these as gold exceeds silver. This love is like glowing coals of fire and is kindled through meditation on the infinite spaciousness of God and the complete emptying of all things into absolute nothing that such meditation generates. In this emptying, the flame desires to separate from the coals. Its yearning is so great that it is lovesick. And this great yearning brings about its own demise. This level of love generates hastening and returning. As it is written, if your heart hastens, return to one. If your heart hastens, is the moment of self-emptying from which you must return to the world, for despite yourself, you must live. Your task is not to escape this world, but to reveal it as a manifestation of God, as it is written, that there be one in one. Capital one with a big O and then a little o. Okay, do you want to hear the subnotes on what this means?
Yes.
Kesef Hakodashim from 2 Kings, all silver kesef donated for holy purposes, Kadashim, is to be brought to the clubhouse of Yahweh. Genesis 31:3. The Alter Rebbe is playing with the words kesef, silver, and kasaf, yearning. This holy silver is your innate yearning to melt into the infinite spaciousness of God as a lover yearns to melt into the arms of the beloved. Klat Hanefesh from Psalms 84:3, the annihilation of the separate self in the infinite spaciousness of God. Ratzo is hastening and Shov is returning. Tikkune Zohar, when you feel the pull of infinity, surrender to it and do not fear it. Pirkei Avot, just as the tide ebbs and flows, so you will be emptied into God and then returned to the world transformed. You are made to love God, and through that love, to be emptied of self and selfishness and then returned to the world transformed. The Alter Rebbe is playing with the text, come, my beloved, to meet the bride. Lechadodi Shabbat liturgy. The Hebrew word for brides is kalot, which Rabbi Shiner Zalman links with klat, annihilation. When the bride is embraced in the beloved, she loses herself in his embrace. The bride is you. The beloved is the infinite Godhead, Ein Sof. Once lost in the arms of the beloved, you discover that infinity includes finity, that the Sitra Achra is the other side of God, the side of the many who are all manifestations of the one. At that moment, you return to the other side with a love so great as to burn away the illusion of separateness and help you discover your true essence as a manifestation of God. That's called Run and Return. That's number 50 in the Tanya. It's pretty smart. Yeah, I'm glad you asked.
Thank you, thank you. Edie.
Hello. Let me just looking at that pic. Aww.
What up, Buttercup?
Nothing. You all done working, right?
Yeah.
You here, buddy?
I fell asleep.
You did? Aw. You said Luciferianism
to the church
and Satanism. And for those who do not
held
realize,
by Muslims. By the way.
Oh, really?
Really? I didn't know
The
that.
only
I'm
church
gonna look for it.
which in Jerusalem. Which church? The Church of
The temple.
Sepulchre. It's held by Muslims. Syrians hold the keys because they open the doors.
Oh yeah, the ones that they won't let anybody in.
Yeah, that's the Church of Jesus Christos. So it's held by Muslims.
So they're denying access to Christians?
Muslims came
Yeah, they
after
deny
Christ
access to Christians and to
600
Jews.
years later.
Wait, Court, if they're denouncing, or they're not allowing
Denouncing.
Christians, they're not allowing the Christians to go to the churches?
Oh, no, they are. They're the protectors.
No, this is to the church, the temple.
You mean like they are in charge of managing the physical property, the church itself, the particular one there, and make sure it runs and open it, close it, whatever? Like they manage it?
They hold the keys to open and close the church. It's done on purpose. I guess for
What is
I don't
the
know how many
purpose?
years. So they don't fight and stuff, I guess. Or they
Oh,
protect.
so I see. So then they made some deals where you hold this, I hold that, and we kind of live in a
Yes.
ceasefire.
Yes, if you see the processions like during Christmas or Easter, they always have like those guys with this Turkish headwear they wear, and they have like a stick. They hit the rocks, right? Haven't you seen that? Those are Muslims. They like protect the processional, the priests and all that stuff, congregation.
I don't know this, but why is Islam, or what is Jerusalem's relevance to Islam?
Just the church, the dome. I don't know exactly, but I think something to do with that.
So they have a temple there also.
Yeah, they conquered that part back in the day before they got kicked out, and they remained some of it.
So you have two things. One is the Temple Mount, which is the Dome of the Rock, and then you have the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is where the sepulchre is, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And so these two are under Muslim control. And for example, these are holy sites for both Judaism and Christians. And they allow visitation, but they don't allow Jews to pray there. So they can visit, but they cannot pray. They are punished if they're caught praying.
I see.
And they hold custodianship and keys to the Temple Mount, or Haram al-Sharif.
Aside from their temples, does Muhammad have anything to do with Jerusalem, or is there any prophetic things like that of that nature, or is it just those two temples?
Muhammad came 600 years after Jesus.
No, that's fine. I understand that, but like, does Muhammad have anything to do with Jerusalem specifically?
Yes.
You would come to me and say,
Muhammad traveled to visit God or whatever through Jerusalem. I could look it up myself.
Basically, Muhammad journeyed to heaven right there in Jerusalem.
Oh, okay.
The dome of the rock, Al-Aqsa Mosque. That's where it's just basically the same thing where for Jesus, they have that temple where his body was, after the crucifixion. It's the same thing for Islam. For Prophet Muhammad.
That's where he got the commandment for the 5 prayers a day. when he went up to heaven from Jerusalem.
It's like it's called Qibla or something. The direction of prayer. They always prayed towards Jerusalem because this is where he went to heaven.
It says that Muhammad never went to Jerusalem. He lived entirely in Arabia, in Mecca and Medina, and the surroundings.
Yeah, see that's what I thought, but
Yeah, no, this is like it's a mystical thing. He overnight went from where he was to Jerusalem and then up to the heavens.
Yeah, exactly. But it was not in this life.
No, it's like a metaphysical thing. You're saying.
Yeah, and so it says that the Quran describes Muhammad being taken by night from the sacred mosque in Mecca to the farthest mosque, Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, and that's when he went through Jerusalem. At the time of revelation in the 7th century, there was no mosque in Jerusalem. The Al-Aqsa was later interpreted by the Muslims.
Yeah, it all happened like several hundreds years after.
Yeah.
Because in Jerusalem, there is like, actually the city of Jerusalem, there is only 4 quarters. There's Jewish quarter, Armenian quarter, there's
and the
Muslim quarter, and I don't remember what else.
Christian
quarter.
Yeah.
But there's Armenian one that's separate from, I don't know
There's
why.
Orthodox, I guess. There's a difference, maybe.
No, Armenians are Catholics, aren't they? They're Christians.
We're all Orthodox.
Yeah, but they're Christians.
I think they're Coptic. Coptic or Oriental.
No, the Coptics are in Egypt.
Okay.
Coptic also Orthodox. All of them are Orthodox.
They're Coptic Orthodox. So I think they hold, what is it, monophysicism, I think is a distinction.
No, it's not. It has nothing to do with monotheism. Monotheism went away after the Chalcedon gathering. It's just some of them did not attend because they were conquered by.
Oh, so they're not Chalcedonian? They don't recognize the Chalcedonian?
Yeah, there's like 5 people could not attend the 3rd one or 5th one. I don't remember. So they just did not. I don't know if they recognized it. They just did not follow it because they couldn't be there because of the Turks and Seljuks and all the other invaders. But yeah, so the Copts, all the Syriacs, all of them are Orthodox. That's why there's Eastern and Western, right? Anything.
I always get confused between Oriental and Coptic Orthodox. I know that it has something to do with which ecumenical councils they recognize. Some don't recognize the 4th, some recognize the 6th, or some shit like that.
Exactly, that's what it is. But it has nothing to do with monotheism.
No. It's I could be mispronouncing it, but it's I think it's called monophysicism or like diophysicism. It's about like the nature of Christ's divinity. If he is in one nature, is he of one nature or is he of 2 natures? And I think that's the distinction between the non-Chalcedonian churches and the Chalcedonian Orthodox. It has to do with like this specific, like, it's almost like a semantic and theological issue about like Christ's like divine nature. It's a very like kind of almost like a relevant point.
Yeah, but it's all, that's why it's called Troika, the 3, Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. So they're all, I think it's all about that.
Well, Cortic, you're very interesting, you know a lot. Why do you know all of this? Are you an Orthodox Christian?
Because I'm Armenian.
Oh, that's why. Yeah.
That's my history.
Yeah, I know a couple of Armenians here, and they're actually very cool. But somewhat they're a little bit resentful against the Jews as well.
Well, because in Jerusalem, the Jews spit the church, and and they want to take the land. That's why. In in Jerusalem. There's a quarter. There's like 100-year lease is going to be over or something, and they want to take it. Of course, they're going to be resentful towards them. But it's not like it hasn't happened before. It's 1,000-year history, so they have their own in stuff like that over there. I don't even know.
And I also, speaking to one of them, he was mentioning that during the war, that some of the ones that actually protected him and his family were the Hezbollah militants. And I was always very curious about that.
Hezbollah militants?
Yeah, something, yeah, like he was like thankful to these people because they would protect them against like the Armenian genocide.
Oh yeah, probably because historically they're fighting for their land, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and that's the reason why he was like supportive of these regimes, you know, and let's say more against the Jews as well. I thought it was a very interesting position. I don't recall all the details. Might not have been Hezbollah. It was IRGC.
IRGC, that's Iran.
Yeah, I know. The regime, the Islamic regime.
So, yes, because Armenia is allies with Iran because of Turks. It's geopolitics.
Yeah, exactly. The Turks were in war with them, and the IRGC kind of like protected the Armenians, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
at the same time,
it was
there's
not.
Turks, Azeris, who Israel supports. So it's a clash of titans, and
It was
we're
complicated
always in the
politics.
middle. It's always been
Just like
that.
Syria, that was split in between all of these, and the Kurds also adding to the mix.
But it's always been like that. It's not just this century.
Yeah.
It's always been like that. Between
What the
big
fuck?
powers, the smallers have to survive.
Possible concrete, but they did this trip multiple times. So how vast was the effort to find?
Well, it says sure the rocks might be from Earth, but that doesn't prove astronauts went there to get them either. There are other ways that non-Earth rocks could get there: meteors, robotic missions, and foreign sources. Saying a rock isn't from Earth doesn't tell us who bought it here, only what it is.
I just looked it up, and it says meteorites of all size hit Earth daily, though most are microscopic, burning up as shooting stars. Larger meteorites, like car-sized ones, strike once a year. There you go, man. We got it.
What kind of?
But it doesn't matter.
What kind of chemical changes and fractures do they undergo? And are any of those kind of fractures present on the moon?
Can I ask you who controls the samples?
NASA. You can go.
So we only know what NASA allows us to test, right? So they control the rocks and the documentation and who gets access. If no one outside NASA can access the original full samples, we can't independently verify this.
No,
can we?
No, because there was.
Can we access it outside of NASA? Yes or no?
Scientists can apply for a grant to go work with the rock.
Yeah, there were international observers who were allowed to examine the moon rock specimens, right?
That means that they were allowed to come in and get full access, right, to do the scientific studies. Right? It's not like the U.S. was fucking like, bullying other countries, say, nah, you're not going to be able to see it.
What about the idea of what Io said in the sense of other people that were in competitions, like, oh, nah, these the shit, right? When they allow other countries to examine it as well, right? Because here's what I'm thinking. At some point, we have to acknowledge that the moon was landed on, right? Because even to speculate that the rock was given by somebody else, somehow, some way, it's confirmed that it was a moon rock. The question is how it got here, right?
Right, yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out. It also says that, yes, some international scientists were allowed to analyze small portions of the moon rocks, but always under NASA's control. They never had independent access to collection and the retrieval process or the chain custody. NASA provided the rocks, NASA documented the samples, and NASA told them where they were from. Would you call it full access if someone gives you a sealed bag of evidence and says, trust me, it came from the moon? It says most of the world trusted the U.S.
Yeah, that's
it's a clean room, and it's a clean room where you have gloves, and there's multiple stages and multiple airlocks, and all the equipment is there. It's world-class equipment.
It says a rock appear lunar doesn't prove how it was collected, though. But does a rock appear lunar?
They have the best one. So yeah,
no, it does
sure,
not.
you're using their equipment, their facilities, and so on. But they fucking designed all of it. They built all of it. And you would be lucky as a scientist to go work there with those tools to examine those samples, and many have been. There's a process. Even today, you can go apply. It's very fucking rigorous.
I thought NASA stood for not a space agency. A rock that appears lunar doesn't. A rock that appears lunar doesn't prove how it was collected. There's no test that says this rock was carried by a human from the moon. So analyzing a rock is not the same as watching it come back from a spaceship.
Tells you why.
No, can I say something? There's only a couple ways of possible. There's only a couple possible ways, like scientifically, how the rock could ended up here, right, and not be contaminated. Right, and it's one right. Somebody went there and got it, and they Io said they sealed it in one of those airtight,
hermetically sealed.
Yeah, one of those chamber things, and they brought it back here, right, and that's why it's not contaminated. Or the rock defied the laws of physics, and it just teleported here, right? So I mean, you which one do you want to pick?
Could be both. Both things could be true at the same time.
Gold, are you using ChatGPT right now?
That's what I literally just said. I said that I looked it up, and I'm reading to you what it says.
I'm not accusing you of anything. I was in the office. Prompted, ask it, do the lunar rocks that were brought back from the Apollo mission have helium-3?
Okay. Do the lunar rocks... Go ahead. From the Apollo mission have helium-3, right?
Have helium-3, yeah.
Have helium-3.
How did we get here?
I was about to cook. Just let it.
We got here from the moon. That's what.
Yep. We are trying to. That's why we want to go back to the moon.
It says yes. Apollo moon rocks do contain helium-3, but in very, very small amounts.
Now we got back to the next question.
Bro, I hope
where is helium-3 readily available?
I hope you niggas ain't arguing that the moon landing was fake.
Go. Did you hear his question? Go.
He said, "Where is helium-3 available?"
Readily available.
Readily available.
Because as the fucking rocket was going to the moon, everybody had their telescopes up at that time. The Russians had their telescopes up. The Chinese had their telescopes up.
Saying, bro, telescopes don't prove shit.
Bro.
Yo, I got something.
If you're a rocket landing on the moon, that doesn't prove shit.
The Earth is flat. The moon doesn't exist. It's a projection onto a big screen.
The Earth is flat is crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what this kind of sounds like at this point. So look, I'll encourage you, Gold, to check out the NVIDIA link and go look at the optics.
Look,
wait,
again,
what are you asking to ask?
You're arguing against. You're punching the air right now, Io. I said from the beginning.
Don't get distracted.
You gave a bunch of
helium-3 only exists in our core, and we have barely one or two examples of it, but every lunar rock that's ever been brought back has helium.
I don't even know. That's what you helium?
Helium-3 is produced when you have no atmosphere.
Is this a question or a statement?
Sun. It creates
Sounds like a statement.
isotope by virtue of the radiation on the surface.
You were asking me.
I'm asking you. What do you want me to ask Chat? You want me to put a statement in ChatGPT?
No. I was asking.
Yeah, go.
I want to participate in the question too.
So you're trying to say that we need.
Yes.
Your ChatGPT asked it. Do the lunar rocks brought back during the Apollo missions have helium-3?
Yeah,
and what else is not
what
the
did the
moon origin
ChatGPT say when he
could
asked you the second question? What did it say?
Bro, who's that person that sounds like Donald Duck?
The fact that the moon toxin derailed from the moon, and it's really okay. You're saying that we don't have helium-3 like that on Earth. Is that what you're saying?
What did ChatGPT say?
I'm asking him a question. Is he saying that we don't have helium-3? Eric, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Haga. Please take a seat.
You don't want to read it. Why don't you want to read it?
No. I'm asking him before I even put it in. You're saying, say again, Haga?
Pause. Don't make me laugh at work.
God, don't let him do the gold toss-up, bro.
No. You gotta prompt your ChatGPT. Ask it, where is helium-3 readily available? Okay. Once it tells you that the lunar rocks have helium.
Well, you realize that I'm on a neutral side of the argument, so I'm going to look at both, right? I'm going to look at what you're saying. I'm going to look at what I'm saying, and nigga, yes, I am. I literally just said in the fucking beginning, you bozo.
No, you're actually.
I literally said in the beginning. There is a possibility that I could be 100. There could be 100% wrong. Okay, and if we talking about helium, that's what the fuck it sounds like. Io was off every time that he saw it.
Bro, we ain't trying to hear the gold toss up, bro.
Yeah, fuck out of here. Niggas telling me I'm on. If I'm challenging you, hold on. You can't get mad that I'm challenging you.
To the combo, quit ranting, bro.
I just want to say I mentioned
helium-3.
I mentioned helium-3 in the chat maybe an hour and a half ago. By the way, helium-3 is the reason why we want to go back to the moon. It's the reason why China is so aggressively going to the moon. That and the water and ice that's found on the southern part.
Okay, so
it says yes on my ChatGPT.
Right. So yes, helium-3 is on the moon. It says, but that's not in question. Sure, helium-3 is in the Apollo samples. No one is denying that. We also find it in Soviet samples and in the lunar meteors that landed on Earth naturally. This immediately reframes the discussion. Helium-3 isn't unique to Apollo. It's lunar, but not exclusive to astronauts. Yes, having helium-3 in a rock doesn't prove a human picked it up. Helium-3 is implanted in rocks by the solar wind, and that tells us where the rock was, not who bought it back. You can get helium-3 from lunar meteors naturally falling on Earth, from Soviet robotic missions, Luna 16, 20, and 24, and possibly even Soviet probes, the U.S. uncrewed missions before Apollo. So yes, a lunar origin rock might have a helium-3, but it is not a signature of human.
You have to connect the dots. The dots is right. No. Remember what Io said?
I don't have to connect anything. I'm asking you to dispute that fact.
We can prompt it again. What are the characteristics that differ from lunar meteors and the lunar rocks brought back by Apollo, Russia, whoever? And you're going to get into... Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Helium-3 is abundant on the moon, by the way. That was the point. Okay. That proves the origin of the rock.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm challenging you.
You started off by saying no. And then now you're backpedaling.
First of all, hold on. First of all, I never said. Did I ever say?
So far,
you see, was Neil Armstrong your dad? You seem really strong about this fucking argument.
Now you did say that they could be manufactured rocks. That's what.
No. I told you. Hold on. What I read to you was the challenge.
The great source of scientific knowledge.
No, I never said, bro. Did I? You fucking cunt monkey. Did I ever say to you that it was just from Netflix? Did I say that from you?
You did.
I never said that. I said there were different.
You could make rocks, you idiot.
Please, play musical chairs and sit the fuck down. Did I ever say to you that it was just dick face? Listen, did I ever say to you that it's solely from Netflix, or did I kneel on the fact that I give you multiple different reasons? And I read to you, I said, hey, based off of what I looked up, on ChatGPT of why you could possibly be wrong. These are the reasons that it gave. So you're arguing against fucking AI, not me, nigga. I already told you from the beginning that I was neutral.
So you're bowing out at this point. You have no intellectual contribution.
I'm not saying that I'm bowing out. I'm going to continue to challenge you to answer these questions.
I already
until
did.
you either fucking sit. No, until you play musical chairs and sit down. Until you either submit.
I have a question for you.
Till you either submit.
I have a question for you.
Hold on, I'm asking you a question. I'm saying to you, I'm trying to challenge your thinking. You either submit or you give me a reason to be out of a neutral position. That's what the fuck I'm doing. So if you can't do that, then play musical chairs and have a fucking seat. Point blank, period. What are we discussing here? What are we discussing here?
We're gonna keep score.
What are we discussing here?
Knock out.
Mike, what's the question you wanted to ask?
Okay, so be my guest.
He's asking. He's going to remain neutral on this since he's going to use ChatGPT, which I have no problem with, by the way, of course.
Right.
To say, hey, look, what are things that you...
What are the reasons why it could be fake? Why do I have to conform, Io, to what you say? I don't. I'm not entitled to conform to you. I'm not entitled to conform to you.
Look, here's what I want you to do. If you don't mind, here's what I want you to do. Just, if you can type this in, take into consideration of the reasons that you gave that we wouldn't land on the moon. Versus reasons that we do, what would you think outweighs each other? Do you think it's more likely that we did or did not?
You're asking me?
Yeah, if you can put that in your thread.
In my thread?
Yeah, don't press enter until you read me the prompt.
Okay, so what do you want me to put in the prompt?
Based on the reasons you gave me as to why we couldn't have landed on the moon or didn't land on the moon versus reasons why we did land on the moon, which do you think outweighs each other?
Okay, and you're expecting me to accept that definitive answer that it gives me?
No,
is that definitive answer?
No, I'm not. Look. I'm not expecting you to do anything. Put it in, and then I'll tell you why I'm doing this. Pause.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
Yeah,
that was crazy. Okay. I'm sorry. So
I have to go back into the office. I just want to make one last point, and then I'll go back to listening. And this is an important topic, right? Because both China and Russia have a cooperative deal to build a lunar research station. This is why China is gearing up so much to go to the moon. This is why Russia is in cooperation with them, because helium-3 is going to be vital for nuclear fusion reactors, which are going to be what will power the AI and manufacturing and all of that whole continent that is Asia. So it's going to be a weapons and arms race once again. This time we're not just going against the Soviet Union, which was maybe 3 countries out of 15, 20 who had any capability.
Keep typing, Gold. I want to hear the answer.
Wait, can you? I just got fucking distracted from how talking. Can you just
against the biggest...
type it in the chat so I can just type it up?
We're going against the 2 biggest enemies in the world that are going to have unlimited energy. So this is going to be a problem.
Sorry, bro. We're going back in 2026. I mean,
we're planning to. We're planning to. That's it. All dependent on if Congress agree to their budget.
Eric, did you just you're going in 2026?
Yeah, I posted it in the chat. It's the Artemis program.
Yeah. The Artemis program. Yep.
I'm on the computer. Sorry,
we spent billions of dollars over the last, what was it?
Billions.
I'm just saying. I mean, it probably are going, but that may be the first time. You never know.
I mean, you might be right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that might be that thing.
I disagree. I think definitive.
Go ahead, go, Poppy. You've been representing well. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Mike, you were going to put it in the chat? You didn't put it in the chat?
No. Just I'll just read it to you. Based on the evidence, based on the reasons you provided as to why land on the moon, and you can paraphrase. I don't care about it that much.
So based on the evidence, on the reasons you provided, why what?
We didn't land.
Why we didn't land on the moon?
Versus evidence that we did land on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Which which do you think is more likely?
More likely. Okay.
Perfect. Just press enter, and I'm going to accept this.
Okay, cool. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Loading, thinking. Okay, it said based on the historical and physical, scientific, and geopolitical events, most likely and rational conclusion is yes, we're on the moon. Let's weigh the two-sided logic, not emotionally, just the evidence, right? Or conspiratorially, right? Right, which was my side that I'm doing, is conspiratorially, right? I'm trying to challenge the fact that, okay, what if these are the possibilities? What if that is the possibility? And it gives the possibilities. You want me to list both of them?
I want you to do whatever you do to make yourself feel the most comfortable, so when I respond, you don't think that I shorted you.
Okay. Well, it says the evidence supporting that we did, and it doesn't actually give the second part for some strange reason. It just gives rebuttals towards what the argument, to the point. It just gives rebuttals to that. It doesn't actually set out to. It doesn't say, well, here's why this or here's why that.
Do you have a normal subscription?
I put something in ChatGPT, and it said.
No, I believe I have the paid subscription, but it also says that I'm limited to like put photos or anything.
Yeah. So you're limited.
I'm not an expert on ChatGPT.
No, listen, copy and paste what you wrote, and I'll give you the copy and pasted revised version of that prompt. Like words like comprehensive matter. So if you want to have a detailed and comprehensive analysis, you literally have to put those words into it. And comprehensive in this case will mean that it goes through every point that you address.
Okay, so because I came up with a topic, let me just end with this, and I'll go back on mute. Okay. The moon landing hoax theory relies on mistrust, but every claim has a straightforward scientific explanation. Plus, if the U.S. had faked it, the Soviets, our biggest rivals, would have been the first to call us out. Instead, they confirmed it. So I guess they closed the book on that, but it's still, food for thought. Thank you.
Because they were also looking up in the sky
with radar and telescope. They have radar and telescope data that shows that the Americans went to the moon. So it's like, oh shit, fuck, they beat us. But the Russians were the first in space. Okay?
Right.
And for a while there, Russia and America worked together up until Crimea. Isn't that sad? Until from the 70s to now, to very recently, when Putin took Crimea, Russians and Americans worked together in space. It was so amazing that a guy named Rusty, he was like, hey, I'm Rusty. And the Russians were like, we cannot in good conscience call you erosion. And so, like, those kind of jokes, Russian jokes, I'm not even kidding. I'll post a link to the DARPA fucking thing where they make that joke. But the Russians are very honorable people when it comes to scientific inquiry. Okay, they have a controversial history, but they would have every reason to prove that America was a fucking liar. And they haven't. Why? What's the conspiracy on that? Another conspiracy? At a certain point, you're grasping for straws, and you need to pull back and say, hey, what does Occam's razor say? It says...
So you wanted me to put the comprehensive thing.
You add to it, it's more likely. So the less you have to add, the more true it probably is.
So I put both of the things, views, right? Why we did versus why we didn't. So here's what it said, right? It said motivation to fake it. Cold War pressure. The U.S. was behind in the space, Sputnik, okay? The Soviets had early victories. The moon landing would be a massive win. The theory says if we couldn't get there, faking it would win the race anyway. The technology was too primitive. It's that computers were weaker than modern calculators. Rockets were experimental and had already failed several times. Faking a landing might have seemed easier than doing it. Another thing, it says no stars visible in lunar photos. Flag appears to wave and there's no wind on the moon. There's shadows at odd angles, suggesting multiple light sources and identical backgrounds in photos allegedly taken miles apart. Mission or destroyed evidence. It says original Apollo 11 telemetry data tapes were erased or lost for some odd reason, and some blueprints from the Saturn V rocket were scraped. It raises questions like, why wouldn't these preserve humanity's greatest achievements? Yes, it says it raises questions like, why wouldn't they preserve humanity's
greatest achievements? Because we didn't think it was that big of a deal. We thought we were going to keep going.
It says also cultural cues. Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey in 1968 showed realistic space scenes. Conspiracy theorists believed he was hired to fake the moon landing on film. Yet Hollywood and NASA collaborated to make a believable hoax. Too big to fail, Apollo 1 had a deadly fire. Three astronauts died, and NASA couldn't afford another public failure. Theory claimed that they faked it to save the budget. And then it also gives the reasons of why we did.
Can you ask it? Ask it this. Did you take this information consideration when I asked you to compare the evidence?
Information into consideration when I asked you to compare the evidence. I also would like to say that I feel, of course, ChatGPT is going to lean more on the moon landing being something real, right?
Yeah,
because that's because it's obviously something that's already taught to us, right? So it gathers that information based off of what is the truth, what is given truth to us.
Oh, that's fine. I'll accept that. I'll accept that. I will accept that. Go ahead. But what did it say?
Oh, did you take this information? Did you take the information or this information?
This information, meaning the information that you just read.
Okay, the information. Did you take the information on both sides?
You already did that, I thought.
No, I didn't put that. But did you take the information on both sides into consideration when you asked to compare the evidence?
Yeah, so check this. One comment, I need to make one comment. The computer comment is not correct. To this day, we have yet to have consumer-grade computers that can perform the kind of calculations.
But just press enter. I got a major point. Go ahead.
Right. So it said for the check mark, for we landed on the side, I used verifiable, independent, and physical evidence, including the moon rocks, blase, right? These are things that exist outside of NASA's control. And it said I examined for the we didn't land side, right?
Okay.
And then it goes on to say,
then
it goes on to say I didn't dismiss conspiracy claims outright. I evaluated them seriously, but when compared side to side with tangible physical artifacts, international confirmation, photographic and geological evidence, repeatable experiments, the moon landing being real is supported by direct empirical evidence, multiple independent sources, and then it gave the events require fewer extreme assumptions.
Okay, so here's what I'm saying, is that a few minutes ago you said that you're neutral on this, right? And you're reading off of ChatGPT. Remember when you said that? And ChatGPT was giving you like conspiracy arguments to suggest that we might have not landed on the moon or that we didn't land on the moon, right?
Right, because I asked ChatGPT, I said, well, what would be an opposing argument if it wasn't?
But let me ask you this. Prior to you putting that in ChatGPT, were you neutral on the moon landing?
Yes, I was neutral on the moon landing since the very beginning.
Then why did you have to ask ChatGPT to give you reasons why when you could?
Because we started talking about Bert, the guy who went to Neil Armstrong and told him to put his hand on the Bible and swear to God that he went on the moon.
No, I got that.
And I hunt somebody like that too, just saying.
No, I'm just saying this. Look, you obviously, prior to you typing the prompt in the ChatGPT to tell you what the conspiracies are against the moon landing, you had your own, right?
Right, which was a neutral state that it could be that I could be 100% wrong.
I know. Okay, look, but you didn't believe that we did, right?
No, I've never said that I didn't believe 100% that we did. I didn't
say 100%. I'm not talking about. I know you don't believe it. This. I'll say this right now. I know you don't believe 100% either way, right? But you don't believe that you are currently convinced that we didn't land on the moon, right?
Right. Correct.
Okay. Perfect. You held that position prior to asking ChatGPT about reasons why or conspiracy reasons why we didn't land on the moon, right?
Right, because I wanted to challenge the fact of
That's fine. I'm saying what are the reasons? What reasons did you hold against going against the moon landing prior to you asking ChatGPT to tell you the reasons why we didn't go?
Oh, and when I stated that, I said based off of the interaction with Neil Armstrong, based off the photography, based off of the flag was blowing, based off of the documentary that I watched, and based off of other articles.
So that's pretty okay. So the Neil Armstrong, the flags and all that, right? That's pretty fucking. The flags, especially with the shadows, that's like you could really look into some type of like objective shit to see if that actually is problematic for the moon landing, right? That's not just a motivational thing, because when I asked you about it, you initially said it was the motivation. Remember when you said that?
Yeah, of course. I told you that was
that was your number one. And motivation is kind of this weird thing to prove someone's motive unless you have like good reason or documentations or something. So if you focus on the flag part and you say, hey, there are shadows in the wrong spot. If you were to ask ChatGPT right now to say, hey, look, I want you to explain to me shadows are in the wrong spot or the wind and all that, the answers it gives you are going to be conspiracy-based answers, or they're actually going to be answers that can be proven by some type of science?
I think that they're going to draw the answers based off the information that is circulating on the internet.
And is the information going to be some scientific type of explanation, or is it going to be some type of like conspiracy thing we don't know, or the motivation? Or
to be honest, I'm not sure what answer it'll give.
Why do you ask it?
It can give something intertwined.
Simulations. The answer is they've done simulations to show that, hey, this camera with this lens would produce those exact effects. It was a few years ago. NVIDIA showed it. NVIDIA's worth trillions because they do physics simulations really well. And so all that camera stuff is just a misunderstanding of optics.
Absolutely. Yo, do you ever heard of
I don't think I do.
Transformium Wars?
You never do crazy stuff, Jakob. I've never heard you don't have a mean phone in your body. I've never seen you be mean once. I don't think you have a mean bone in your body.
Fermi. Okay. Yeah. What about him? Fermi paradox. Sure.
Yeah, so like you don't remember in the 70s, I think it was like up into like the 90s, where like I think it was a whole bunch of like
nothing. I'm sitting here recording chillism. They're talking about the fake lunar landings.
On a periodic table.
I can prove all of those things wrong.
And the U.S. was dominating, right? I just wonder what people don't give like the same skepticism, right, to like this race, right? But they always say like
Listen, they found a meteorite with all the stuff that makes our DNA. We're all the aliens. Like,
artificially
are the aliens?
The laser that's on the moon that we're bouncing back to this day. Daily basis.
That controversy where the U.S. They said the U.S. lied about discovering.
And we have the footage of the lunar pendulum. You ever seen that experiment? Which couldn't happen in any place on Earth.
And so like here's another thing.
The pendulum swings exactly at 1/6 the speed that it would on Earth.
From where you are is something like landing on the moon. Every time we make a transistor as perfectly as we make them, that is.
Yo, Yakov, right now your doppelganger in this clubhouse room is talking. Listen to yourself.
Billions of phones. We've just stopped landing on the moon, but we're still landing on an alien.
This is you, Yakov. This is your doppelganger and chillism talking right now. This is Io.
Okay. And so, like,
I always thought this was you, Yakov.
Something like,
this is your doppelganger, Io.
The stuff by
this is
ASMR,
shit you'd be talking about.
ASML is like, hey, that is quite an achievement. We have some technical dominance.
Are you sure you're not in two rooms, Yakov?
The transistors exist.
We have similar cars now and everything. If, we would have been made it. Whatever they did to make it go with that, years ago, it would be extra easy now, or easier.
It would still be expensive, though. So, like, it would be more expensive now because of inflation. So how much would you have to spend now to go back to the moon? Look how long it's taken for space.
I'm saying we have to do it now. I'm saying, from the last time.
Well, last time it was 10% GDP. Nobody wanted to keep paying that. People wanted Social Security. People wanted health care. People didn't give a fuck what some astronauts were doing somewhere in the buttfuck nowhere, and they were like, "How does that help me?"
And we had to look at
you, NASA. I don't want that.
Like they did.
Yeah, the 70s and all the way up to like the early 2000s was a bad time for like science in America.
Yeah, and we lost so much technical talent. It took Elon 10 years of training and so on because he had to revitalize all of the universities to start training all these engineers and all these methods. Okay, so when Elon first started, it was like kids in high school. And then those kids grew up and then they became engineers and now they work at SpaceX. And what SpaceX is doing is quite impressive. But again, the vertical landing of rockets is something that NASA published in the 60s. So it's just like what I find really challenging is NASA is a very expensive organization. I don't think any of us would, in mind, you would be like, hey, I don't want my mom to have health care. I'd rather we go to the moon. But most of us make decisions that are local. So it's a hard pitch to sell, and that's why private space exploration is such a position. But the joke was, for one, you know how you make a small fortune in rocketry? You start with a large fortune. So before it's not profitable for anyone other than the Department of Defense to do rocketry. And when Elon solved a reusable rocket problem, it's not rocket science that's difficult, it's rocket engineering, because the shit blows up. Equations don't blow up. So I'll leave it.
What do you think? But then you're going to have an issue of resource, like trillionaires, like not even trillionaires.
Yeah, it's basically aliens, right? It's like, oh, Dutani Corporation. You're like, oh.
Yeah, and the Dasani gets all of like water on the moon. So
exactly. But it's not going to be Dasani. It's going to be some.
Sorry, Dutani. Dutani is the name of the corporation from the Alien movie series.
No, yes. I know what you're
like.
You're not going to know who's going to own all those resources, because you're going to trust some South African guy who constantly trolls and rage baits online with trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars worth of natural resources. Fuck that shit. It should be the State Department. I trust the State Department more than I trust Musk.
Yeah, but Musk said, when he gets to Mars, that'll be an extension of America. So he's gone on the record and said that.
I hope so.
I don't think it'll be Mars, home of Elon Musk. It'll be more like, hey, Mars, an extension of America.
Let me ask you, Io, how much further and like tech do you think NASA would be if we swapped the budget from like the Pentagon and NASA? Like if you just gave NASA the Pentagon's budget, how far do you think we would be?
So the Pentagon budget is actually quite large.
It's almost $1 trillion, like 900 billion, something like that.
Yeah, and that's only the one that they failed their audit, so they couldn't even account for all the dollars that they got, nor could they account for where those dollars went. So there's no way to audit the Pentagon, apparently, which is absurd. Okay, but if we gave them that budget, I think it might be less than a decade. Like right now, the thing that's amazing that gives me hope is, by the end of the decade, we're not going to go back to the moon. That's not the moon landing thing. That's not really that big of a thing anymore. It's more like we can make it a gas station. But the thing that will help us make it a gas station is autonomous robots. Because all of the scenarios where it's too dangerous to send humans, the amount of testing, preparation, and basically facilities, like you have to build a totally different rocket if there's a person in it versus a humanoid robot. Well, you could, for example, send a swarm of humanoid robots 2 years ahead of any human colony for anywhere you want to go, and they will build it. So the biggest challenge is labor, automated labor, intelligence. And that's why I think all the stuff with the robotics is so amazing. See, they're coming to get me. I've been talking too much.
Okay, so why would we ever want to even go back? Like, what
resources, bro?
Wait, thank you for
what resources
the point I was about to
hold
make.
on, he said resources.
Money is a moot point. The spending is a moot point. If the government can convince the people of the actual immediate need, we would do it.
Right.
But the problem is that people don't realize the crazy importance of it because of what Io said. People they think about their mother, they think about their father, they think about their kids. They don't think about the future of humanity.
Okay,
right?
so
And the future of humanity is
what is on the moon?
The future of humanity and the life that you like to live, Dominic, is dependent on us to make sure that communist Russia and communist China and totalitarian Russia and totalitarian China
is this a joke,
don't
bro?
get access to these materials before we do. Helium-3 exists in abundance on the moon. So does a lot of oxygen-rich
There is
water.
nothing on the moon that we are interested in.
No, that's a lie.
No. Listen, the simplest answer is the moon is important because it's a different gravity well. So if you can make it to the moon,
but why haven't we been back yet?
Out of orbit.
Don't give him the
faster.
high-level answer.
So please,
give him the simple answer. Give him the simple
What
answer.
haven't we been back yet? We can use it like a slingshot orbit.
We can use it like a slingshot, and we can build nuclear fusion reactors.
So why haven't we been back?
China.
I don't get how people think by asking a question proves that it didn't happen. Why haven't we been back? Oh shit, I can't answer. Therefore,
skeptic and a
that's weird.
The reason we haven't been back, Dominic, is because it wasn't important at the time, right? But the biggest change right now is the AI race that is in at this point. Right now, if you look at what the Department of Energy and these private companies are testifying before Congress, saying, hey, if we are going to compete with countries like China and Russia in the AI race, which is very important to military applications and just like on a societal level and economics, that hey, we're going to need to bring on at least 15 to 20 nuclear reactors and within a decade, which we know is not feasible, right, and not sustainable, right? So the next best step, right, is fusion reactors, and what you need for fusion reactors is what Hagab said, helium-3. And where can you find helium-3? The most easily accessible helium-3 is on the moon, because we can't get to the core. That's extremely hard. We can't get to the Earth's core. We tried it before. It's hard to do, right? So your next best bet is go to the moon, where there's abundance of this openly ready helium-3. Not only that, right? There's abundance of iron, gold, nickel, copper, iron, right? And the biggest thing is, if we're really trying to expand to let's say deep space or interplanetary mining, right? We would need a gas station. Like I said, a gas station where we could just go send ships there, refill them, or restock them, and we just send them to other places, right, in our solar system.
There's a important distinction and understanding that has to be made by people that think and ask these questions, is how these governments operate, right? Everything is a P&L, profit and loss statement. Everything is a cost-benefit analysis. We've known that helium-3 is there. We've known the amount of resources that we can mine, specifically the water and the helium-3. And we've known that there's potential for us to use it as some sort of base since the 60s. But the difference is the cost outweighed the benefit. But since now our enemies are doing it, i.e. quote-unquote enemies, right? We can't look at these people as enemies, but they actually are. So our enemies are fucking doing it. The cost now doesn't matter. The benefit is the most important thing. The reason we raced to the moon is so we can shit on Soviet Union. That was the only reason we were going up there. It wasn't because we were so interested in space exploration and rocketry. No, because we knew the Russians were interested in it. And we're like, yo, fuck the cost. The benefit is we get to shit on the Soviet Union again. We want to be the first. Because they sent Yuri Gagarin up there before we even had a fucking space program set up. They sent a fucking dog, and then they sent a man up to space before we even started launching the proper rockets to go up there.
I have the stamps from that era, by the way, which is crazy.
I do too. My mom saved them from Armenia. That was such a crazy big deal. She was born in the early 50s in 53, and she remembers as a kid sitting down and watching on the TV with all of her neighbors in the building that they lived, watching on TV how monumental it was that Gagarin made it to space and back, and he didn't die. It was like this crazy thing, and all of the U.S. was shaking in their boots because they realized, holy fuck, Russia doesn't give a fuck. They did this. We need to do this. Now we're in the same place. As of last year, China and Russia have a cooperative deal. I forgot what it's called. It's like the Lunar Base Cooperation Pact.
Basically like power plants and weapons on the moon.
Yes, so they can mine it, bring it back here, utilize it here, and then also utilize it on the moon to basically annex the whole thing as its own. And then from there, Mars would be next. And then from Mars would be the entire meteorite belt, where you're talking about insane amounts of natural resources. Because scientifically, we know whatever we have on Earth came from outer space, from asteroids and meteors that crashed into the Earth, and there's an abundance of that in the fucking asteroid belt. So we can be mining gold up there. We can be mining lithium up there. We could be mining stardust, bro. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and
China wants to do it.
Yeah, and here's the reason why you can't be that close to your neighbors on the moon. So when you blast off, kind of blow smoke and other things to the sides, right? Well, what happens when there's no atmosphere and very low gravity? Those things go kilometers, and they damage shit like it's nobody's business because it's all radioactive materials. Think of the surface of the moon as basically being like radioactive sea of dust. And now I get it. Now I see the fuel. And so that's basically the idea that China will say, hey, we have these 3 power plants, and they will be able to monopolize the moon by virtue of them needing that much space to lift off and land. So we've already done those calculations. In fact, China has said, here's the part where we plan to build a power plant. Here's the gigawatts that we plan to build it. And you're just like, what? And so remember, all this whole time that we've been playing with TikTok, China has been restricting TikTok to their children. What's the difference? What's the result? Children here want to be YouTubers, influencers. Kids in China want to be astronauts and engineers.
They want to colonize Mars,
It's
bro.
huge.
They
Yeah,
want to
it's
colonize
insane.
Mars.
There's a reason why everyone in the movie Cloud Atlas was Asian, okay? That's all I'm saying. In the future, we're all Asian.
Nah, I'm not. I'm not right here. Shout out to them, but I'm not an Asian man.
I was telling you about that conversation about the highways, and like people don't understand is that like shit don't get done, bro, in America unless it's like of military importance, bro. If it's not about your enemies, bro, then you're not getting done, bro. You're not getting shit.
It's like simple. Even with we knew the resources that were there. When we brought back lunar rocks, there's a reason why it's called helium-3 because we identified it for what it was. Our chemists, physicists, botanists, whatever, they fucking were able to take that matter and figure out what it was and what it had and what it could be utilized. But they're like, yo, the fucking Russian and Chinese can't get fucking up there. Chinese wasn't even a threat back then. It was just the Soviet Union. They can't get up there. Fuck them. That's why when anybody goes to space, the U.S. is very, very interested. When India tried to launch something, you had a U.S. delegation there. When Japan tried to launch something, you had a U.S. delegation there. The United States is always monitoring this, and when they smell that someone is getting close, we have the capability to go up there again. We just got to get the public to fucking believe in it because we're going to have to cut money here and there, which was what Io was saying.
When do you think the propaganda machine is going to ramp up?
2030 is when we're probably going to... listen, 2030 is when this race is going to peak. Okay, so by 2030, there will be robots that have chips that are low power enough that it'll be smarter than the smartest ChatGPT AI system that we have today. That'll be like the retarded free one that you have then, okay? And then there will be a robot that doesn't cost $200,000 or even $20,000. There might be like a $5,000 plastic robot. A robot that, you think plastic robot, maybe you think sex doll. I'm thinking, hey, it's doing all the chores around your house, helping you with all these things, tutoring you, helping you run your business, making deliveries. This is what's going to happen. In fact, it's going to be impossible to afford the kind of lives that we grew up with by 2030 if we don't have automation. In fact, the recent report, I think it's, I forget which bank, but basically one of the banks, Morgan Stanley, basically said, hey, without automation, America's economy would collapse right now. And so this is like the space race. The space race is we need to make AI. We need to make it first, because if they make it first, they rule the world. Everyone will be...
So Io's basically saying the space race is the superior race. Wow.
That's a fact. Gold has the advantage in the room right now because he's the actual fluent Mandarin speaker.
I'm fluent in Cantonese.
My kids are actively learning Mandarin.
Good, they're better because these fucking...
Bro, I see the writing on the wall, bro. I see it, bro. The Chinese is gonna take over.
That's why my parents had me learn Chinese when I was like 13, 14.
That was because you're born with squint eyes.
That too. George Lopez says Mexicans are Asians with the sun in their eyes. So to that, I could.
That's a fact. Actually, think about it. That's fucked up.
Damn, Huey, you missed it, bro. You had left the room.
Oh,
And I whooped that nigga's gold ass, bro.
Huey does cap.
Argument, bro.
Cap.
I'm talking about this dude. Like, he was fighting for his life in there.
Bro,
like,
cap. Don't
like,
believe that.
Look, Huey. You know when I left.
Huey, bring King and Caroline back in.
You know when you left, Huey, that I already had the dub, bro. You knew it. That's why you left. He was like, I look, you got it, bro.
Huey.
Cocaine. Happen, I'm not gonna lie.
Huey, cocaine and delusion is hell of a drug.
Yeah, you know what's crazy.
I will speak to the second one, but I'm not gonna lie. I was on the other side, gold on the first one because I don't feel like you even addressed like the point you were speaking about hierarchy.
He got the ISO. But what he did was, do you know what happened at the end, Huey?
No. Towards the end, no, because I left after you guys.
Okay, so what he was arguing at the end, which King and everyone else was confused on. What he was arguing at the end, ASB could attest to this because she was there in the room. A Bizzle was here, and I forgot who else was here. A couple of other people were here. What he was arguing on at the end, which was a nuance, King said that he lives in these nuances. He was saying that the salvation is not for the demons, which was obvious that salvation.
That's not what I said, bro.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish, please.
You already lied.
Let me finish. We argued. The point that we were arguing was, did the demons believe that Jesus
recognize?
Okay. Did the demons recognize that Jesus was the Savior? Okay. I gave multiple scriptures that said, yes, they recognized that he was the Savior. Now, the nuance was Savior for who? Savior for humanity or Savior for the demons? Eric thought that I was arguing the fact that they were the Savior for the demons, which would make no sense because the demons are already going to be judged. I was arguing the fact that they recognize that he's the Savior for humanity, that they did recognize it. I've said the word humanity 6 times, and I even read a scripture. What Eric did was he wasn't clear on what his point was arguing. He claims that he was clear in the beginning before the ISO, but I personally did not hear him say that. I did not hear him say anything about salvation for the demons or anything like that, because if he would have said that, I would have been like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I could agree with that. So that's why when what's her face read off the ChatGPT prompt, me and King both were like, wait, what? What are you? Who are we arguing salvation was for? So that's where the confusion was.
You still lost, right? Even, look, I disagree with your argument, but let's give your argument weight real quick, right? You're saying, hey, I argued from a position of vagueness, and I wasn't clear in my argument, right? Intentionally or unintentionally, right? But the reason you still lost is because you decided to argue with me for 4 hours and not get clarity on what the actual argument was.
Right, but
so you still that means you still
no because I was clear.
You decided to get into the car and you didn't know the destination.
No, because I kept saying to you again, which I just told Huey, I kept reiterating humanity. I kept giving you Bible scriptures that said it was for humanity. I brought up Jesus even being tempted, and I said, well, if the devil knew Jesus' mission, why wouldn't the demons know Jesus' mission for us to die for us for our sins?
Yeah, that's what I literally said. They didn't know Jesus.